2023 has been quite the interesting year for movies. Whether horror, action, comedy, dramas, Oscar bait, as the kids say. Movies that range from good to really great to fucking incredible. Over here thinking, my god, here I am sitting in a theater enjoying a movie, crying, laughing, having such passionate feelings of elation, and then exuding my passion all over the goddamn screen. And then I'm asked to leave the movie theater, and it was very uncomfortable, but I can't talk about that until the cases are settled. Or you're sitting in a hotel room, and you're doing God knows what to a delivery pizza because you're just so happy that you saw a movie so great. Or you're at home, and you're doing God knows what to a couple pizzas, because eating multiple pizzas at home is the right thing to do. Or you got the category that's basically movies in the middle. Not bad, not great, just okay, like, I didn't hate it, didn't love it. I didn't waste my money, but I didn't get the most bang for my buck. Then you got the category over here. Movies that are so goddamn bad that they make you question your existence, why the giant meteor has not crashed down into this blue sphere that we call a world. Movies that were so bad that you need 3 goddamn pizzas in the hotel room to do God knows what. Movies that make you wonder, why? How did this get filmed? Who the fuck thought this was a really good idea? Why did I watch this? Well, I'm here to talk about that category. I'm John Redden with my 10 worst movies of 2023 list with a lot of honorable mentions. So let's just get to it. Also, let me know your worst movies of 2023 in the comments. I have seen 136 movies as of this recording, and 68 of those got F grades. One, I tend to seek out stuff that could either be shovelware, or I take requests that end up really pissing me off, even though I will do anything to please the viewers within reason. And yeah, 68. 68 and 136, you do the math. So yeah, let's talk about the honorable mentions. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Okay, I'm giving this one just an honorable mention because it is pretty bad. It did not utilize the characters nearly as well. The girls were pretty, and that's really about it. Yeah, it had gore in it, and it was really goddamn pointless, and I was very disappointed. Very, very disappointed. You're killing me. Yeah, I kind of felt like this movie was killing me. This featured some of the dumbest characters I've seen in an indie horror movie in a while. The dumbest and weakest heroine in a while, and just, it was so goddamn bad. Hypnotic, Ben Affleck, and other assorted people, directed by Robert Rodriguez. It cost a lot, it made very little. And it still made too much at the box office because this was god-awful. Knights of the Zodiac. Honestly, should be in my top 10, but there were so many other shit movies that Knights of the Zodiac just gets an honorable mention here. It was terrible and a bad use of the source material. Sean Bean and Famke Johnson were in it. And that's it. Like, there wasn't anything of note. I don't know how close it was to the anime, beyond like a few stills I've seen, but based on the fact that this movie made barely anything at the box office and got at least enough of a release where you would think that the movie would have made a little bit, no, this felt like something from the early 2000s released in 2023. Inside, Willem Dafoe is a great actor, and he got to basically do a one-act play, stretched out to a fucking full-length movie, acting a fool in an apartment he was locked in. And it was terrible. It was really terrible. There's something wrong with the children. Yes, there is something wrong with the children. The children in this movie are idiots, and the adults are even bigger idiots, and I hated this. And I knew it wasn't going to be good. I think it's on Prime currently, so you won't have to pay to watch it like I did. But God, this was shit. God, this was so bad. So goddamn terrible. And then we get to Ghosted. Ana de Armas has been in some great movies. This was not one of them. Chris Evans has been in some great movies. This was not one of them. This was written and directed by a sea cucumber. It was a series of bad action scenes and bad writing. And, I mean, when you can make a movie with Ana de Armas boring, hi deep water, I didn't see you there, you're kind of on my shit list. The Headmistress. Cheap, ugly, and really bad. Really bad. Disquiet. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking here. I really don't know what the fuck they were thinking. Guy's in a hospital being besieged by ghosts of his past. Or ghosts of his future. Or possibly the ghosts of people that were trying to write better movies and they were killed off and this tripe was released. And then we get 65. Adam Driver and a girl battle dinosaurs. That's it. Tin and Tina. I'm not sure why anybody would adopt these children, and I'm not sure why anybody thought this movie was a good idea. The Tank should have been, put in a goddamn World War II tank and blown up. A movie that was so painfully obvious and everything, I had to struggle to remember much of anything about it beyond the bland characters. The Boogeyman. A recent addition, and this was not good. It was jump scare theater, and not even good jump scare theater. And The Strays. The only thing I remember about The Strays is the heroine of the movie was so goddamn unlikable that you didn't care what happened in the beginning, the middle, or even the end. And you wonder what the fuck Netflix was thinking picking this up. Now, crack on to the top 10 now. So yeah, let's go to Unwelcome. People go to a particular, Irish area, this home where you must feed. You must feed certain creatures in the garden. If you don't, they get mad. And then things go south. I'm going to keep it spoiler-free, but beyond the fact that you don't like any of the characters, and it takes forever to actually get to anything halfway interesting. By the time it gets to anything that could have been deemed interesting, you're just thinking, no, this was bullshit. This was really goddamn bullshit. This was absolutely fucking horrendous. I think they were smoking fucking dope when they did this. Yeah, Unwelcome. It was definitely unwelcome, and I couldn't delete this from my watch list quick enough. And I rented this. Any of these movies, by the way, I either watched in theaters or if they weren't on a streaming service, I paid to watch. Because I'll still support the directors and the people that put, their time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears into it, even if Unwelcome is the result, because they deserve that. Maybe they can make better projects. Unwelcome is so shit, but still only number 10. Number 9, The Devil Conspiracy, one of the first movies I saw this year. This and Plane were a double feature. The Devil Conspiracy, honest to God, seemed like a film that was literally shot out from the early 2000s. Yeah, Knights of the Zodiac and Devil's Conspiracy, or The Devil Conspiracy. It was like if Dragon War, D-War, that's something I retro-reviewed recently, had gotten a mythological or like a religious, motif thing put over it. That's basically what it was. It was ugly, it was boring, the special effects were terrible, everything about it was incoherent. I mean, when Plane is the better of the two movies you see in a day, and Plane wasn't any good, that's saying something. The Devil Conspiracy was really bad. We get to number 8, Kill Her Goats. Really, as a movie, this should be number 1. Because it's barely a movie, it's barely a concept. Kane Hodder was in it, Jason. I mean, he was in it in the sense that he was in the cast, and I think he was featured a couple times. And then you have death scenes in the beginning, and then it just seemingly forgets it's supposed to be a slasher for like the next hour. I mean, honestly, it's amazing. The astonishingly bad acting on display in this, it's stunning. The movie did market that featured no CGI, all practical effects. And that's great. Bringing back practical effects is fine. I just wish that idea was put into a better movie, because Kill Her Goats, I think the one goat that they showed at one point in the movie should have just gone on a goddamn killing spree. Should have been Goat Killer Simulator. I would have watched that instead of Kill Her Goats. Number 7, Bunker. Evidently, I got some backlash on this for not saying why this movie is bad. Cheap, ineffective, guys were able to get across war zones in seconds. And then the most obvious, trapped in a cave thing about who's the real bad person. And we know who the bad person is because none of this is really all that shocking. The acting is terrible, and even though I appreciate what they were trying to do, I watched this in theaters. This was playing at my theater, and I sat down and watched it. And I got a private screening. And I only paid, the convenience fee to go watch it on, my app that I have for the particular theater. And I still feel like I wasted my goddamn money. This was nearly 2 fucking hours. And it was, hour and a half, 2 hours, doesn't matter. If it had gone beyond 10 minutes, it would have been too long. This was another one where it's like, my God, how cheap, how ineffective, how terrible this movie was. It wasn't scary. It wasn't good. It was just really, really, ugh. It's still only number 7. 6, Fear. A bunch of idiots, a lot of idiot talk on this. A bunch of idiots gather at a particular, place, a vacation home that's steeped in tragedy. It's for fear studies. There's this one guy that does studies on fear, what people are scared of. It's like if House on Haunted Hill was remade by an even bigger idiot, and Fear came out all the way back in late January, and it feels like a movie that they literally plucked out of the late 90s. It really feels like they just copied a bit of House on Haunted Hill with a few more jump scares thrown in, even though none of the jump scares are scary, and none of the actors are good, and none of the characters are good. And seriously, it reaches such a bad conclusion that you can't help but laugh. If it's on a streaming service that you pay for, by all means watch it with some friends, but Fear is bad. White Men Can't Jump. Sunka Walls, who I'm pretty certain I probably butchered that, was recently in The Blackening that I also reviewed, and he's good. He could only do so much in this. Jack Harlow deserves to be sent to the goddamn, farthest reaches of Saturn for what he did here. And it was terrible. Tiana Taylor got wasted as far as her acting talents. And I think everybody that made this movie got wasted. Lance Reddick was in this. This is one of the last movies Lance Reddick did before his untimely passing. And yeah, White Men Can't Jump. It wasn't even the best movie, but Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson had great chemistry. Rosie Perez also showed her tits. But the one thing about this movie is nothing about it was good. It was a Hulu original, and it was just unfunny and painful, and I wish nothing but the worst for Jack Harlow, who is terrible at acting. And somebody told me he raps. And I curse the existence of the people that told me that he raps and sent me his song. I kid. They know who they are, and I appreciate them for warning me. But still, fuck you. How dare you tell me that? God, I will never hear rap the same way again. Number 4, Children of the Corn. Take the girl from Wife Like, Elena Mamalala. I don't actually know how to say her goddamn last name. Who apparently has the genetics where she's just going to look the same age for the rest of her life. She is in this, and it's a gender swap version of Children of the Corn, where basically it's about eco issues and all this stuff and everything, and these crops and bad things, and the children turn deadly because why not? Because it's Children of the Corn. This is at least the 10th, I think actually the 12th version, 12th movie in the, long-running franchise. And I rented this. I could have actually watched this in theaters if I wanted to. I chose not to. I'm glad. Because if I had chosen to watch this in theaters, I would have walked out. I actually would have walked out. Everything about this was utter dog shit. I mean, there's something wrong with the children. At least presented a halfway decent idea, even though it was shit. This took an idea that had already been done before and stamped it into the ground, covered it in shit, and said, please, enjoy? No, I will not enjoy. Number 3, Sleeping Beauties. I'm not sure why this is number 3 because I utterly despise this movie. Nothing made sense. Everything about it from a cinematography standpoint to a directing standpoint, acting standpoint, writing standpoint, everything was inept. Nobody made sense. I couldn't make heads or tails of why things were happening. And while there maybe was the germ of a halfway decent idea here, it was just a collection of scenes that made really no goddamn sense. It was like watching, it was like watching Tinkerbox, or Trinket Box, that is. Should have been Tinkerbox. Except Sleeping Beauties was worse. And the reason it was worse is because it was horribly inept, horribly designed, and god damn. A Tubi original that definitely made me question what the fuck they were thinking. Number 2, The Price We Pay. Stephen Dorff and Emile Hirsch in this. And other people. And this was basically, let's just take the bare bones of people caught in a situation, bad people caught in a situation, and we have to figure out which one to root for, or we don't root for any of them, and we just root for everybody to die. Which, yeah, I mean, that's really all you can do with a movie like this. Nothing's allowed to really develop. You don't have any reason to even care about the characters. they're inflicting particular harm on these bad characters. The price we pay is just hideous and bad, and just not. It seemed like it was added with garden shears. It is just really, really bleak and ugly and everything. But number one, Quasi. The guys that did Super Troopers and a few other things reunited for this. Quasi is the worst movie of the year because it's purported to be a comedy, and I, honest to God, think that every joke told in this movie took jokes and laughs away from previous comedies. Like, Airplane back there. Don't ask me how a current comedy can do that, or any movie can take anything retroactively away from movies that came up before it. But every single person in this should have been lined up and slapped. And I mean just a line of slaps. And then more people that watched this should have came back and slapped them the other way and just kept slapping them until their goddamn cheeks were raw and their hands were raw from slapping, because everybody in this clearly just did it just to reunite with their friends. They didn't try to make a movie, and it wasn't funny, and it wasn't good. It was utterly terrible, and that's why Quasi is my worst movie of 2023 so far. What are your worst movies? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.